Yo guys, what is going on and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing a tier list. I've never done a tier list before. What I have in front of you is a tier list I made. It is the 26-man squad for the Copa America that I'm going to be making here. And yeah, I can't wait with the Copa America being a month away. I can't wait to go to some of the games, which you will see. But today we're going to make our USA squad. This is going to be my opinion. This is not going to be what I think Greg Berhalter is going to take. This is what I think. Everyone has their own opinion. You can let me know if you agree or disagree. I'm intrigued to know, so let me know in the comments as we get going. As you see in the tier list right here, we have 5 tiers. We have the starting 11. So I'm going to put 11 players right there for the starting 11. Cover basically means their rotation. They might start a game here and there, might get a minute or two. Not necessarily going to play, but they'll definitely be there. In trouble means they might not come. They might not get called up. Keep the phone close, which basically means the Olympics, I think. It's going to be some Olympic players I've thrown in here. So if someone gets injured that is one of your main players, you possibly need to call this player up who is available, even though they might have Olympic duty later on. And then delete the number is self-explanatory. Don't ever call them up again. I have the 27-man squad that Greg Berhalter has called up for the upcoming friendlies before the Copa America starts. And then I threw in some extra ones in here for these other tiers that you clearly see and I just explained. With all that being said, let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with Matt Turner right here. He's easily our starting goalkeeper. I don't think that's any question. We don't have a lot of cover or a lot of great goalkeepers. Matt Turner coming off a very not great season with Nottingham Forest. Started off as a number 1, had some errors, especially that game against Liverpool, then lost his place as they signed a goalkeeper in January, but still, Matt Turner's our best keeper we got. And as I've said many times before, I rate Matt Turner a lot. I hate that he lost his place at Forest. So hopefully he can show his quality again this summer and get back into that starting 11. Or maybe get a loan move somewhere else where he'll get the time, especially with the World Cup getting closer and closer 2 summers away. Then we have Cameron Carter-Vickers, who was also called up for the upcoming friendlies. I don't think he's going to be a starting 11 center back, but I do think he will be an option to take. Obviously, he might start a game here and there. He'll probably come on. We don't know who the center back partnership is going to be or what the formation Greg Berhalter is going to come out with the USA, but I definitely think Carter-Vickers could be in this starting 11 up here, but I definitely think for now he is a cover or substitute. Then we have Mark McKenzie right here, who did get called up. He hasn't been called up in a while because with the USA, he hasn't been great, honestly, but club level at Genk in Belgium, he's been amazing, but he just hasn't shown it with the USA yet. I'm actually going to put Mark McKenzie in trouble right now. He might not make it. He might. I'm going to put him there for now as the list goes on. Then we might change our mind later on. So I think he's going to be in trouble for now if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Then we're going to have right here the first delete the number, and it is Shaq Moore. Why is he getting called up? Understand Serginho Dest has just torn his ACL. Serginho Dest was definitely our starting right back. This guy should be nowhere near the USA camps no more, especially after that horrible cameo we saw at the World Cup. He's been horrible for Nashville this year in the MLS. He does not need to be called up. Ever. I'm sorry, Shaq Moore. I bet you're a great guy. You just don't have it. I'm sorry. And if I'm being completely honest with you, Shaq Moore is the reason I have the tier delete number. He's just not, I don't understand. He's the one person in this whole list that everyone is like, why? Why is he being called up? He's here for the friendlies. We know Greg Berhalter said recently he was looking at him as cover for Serginho Dest, but now that Serginho Dest gets injured, I think everyone is a tiny bit worried he's going to be our starting right back, if not at least playing. But for me, and I think everyone else except for Greg Berhalter, he shouldn't be nowhere near this roster or in this camp or called up again, as I said. Next up, we have Tim Ream, coming off a little bit of an inconsistent season with Fulham. Fulham, of course, did well, who we're going to get to with Anthony Robinson later, but Tim Ream kind of lost his place a little bit. Of course, he's getting up there in age. He's still playing well for the USA, but you have to take him. Now, will he be in the starting 11? It's either going to be cover or starting 11. I think he starts. I'll be honest with you. I think Tim Ream, who's proven himself with the USA time and time again, despite the season with Fulham, I think he starts as one of your center backs. Depending on the formation, whether it's 2 at the back or 3 at the back, I definitely think Tim Ream makes that lineup. And then we have Anthony Robinson, easily our starting left back, no question, coming off a phenomenal season with Fulham personally. One of the, if not the best left back in the Premier League this year. He's been absolutely quality. He's just a great player, and he's going to be a standout, I think, for USA this summer. One of our better players and in form. Then you have Chris Richards, who has been flying during the late stages of the season with Crystal Palace, finishing in 10th, and I think he partners with Tim Ream. Chris Richards, you need that big strength in there on set pieces. He is a physical center back. He even played some CDM we saw with Crystal Palace. Absolutely phenomenal center back. I rate him so highly. He's definitely a starter for me with Tim Ream. Now we have Miles Robinson. I'll throw my hands up and say I was one of the ones who backed Miles Robinson when no one else did, but ever since his move to Cincinnati, he hasn't been what we're used to seeing. And I think he's been pretty reliable for the USA, but recently he has not been that great. Now, will he still go? I think He's either going to be cover or in trouble. We know Greg Berhalter rates him. He's probably going to go, but I think for me, he's in trouble. We don't know yet. I think between Mark McKenzie and Miles Robinson, you take one or the other. Maybe both as cover for sure, depending who else we get. We'll come back to those, though. We're going to have a final list at the end of this. Joe Scally, he's definitely not going to start, but he is definitely your cover. No, I take that back, actually. I forgot. Sergiño Dest is injured. I think that's your starting right back right there. He can play center back as well. As I said, if we go to a 3 at the back or 5 at the back with 3 center backs, I think Joe Scally could be a perfect cover for either the right back or a center back. And with Sergiño Dest injured, he's definitely the next in line for that right back position. So yeah, and he's been quality every time he's stepped on the field for USA. So yeah, Joe Scally I think is our starting right back. And now we have Tyler Adams. Okay, we know he was our captain in the World Cup, and then if he's fit, he starts hands down. No questions asked. But coming off a very injury-prone season with Bournemouth, we don't know what's going on with him. He got called up for the Nations League, which was a surprise. He got 45 minutes in the semifinal, started the final, and then scored a banger. And then after that, we saw maybe 2 or 3 substitute performances with Bournemouth. So we don't know what's going on with him. You definitely take him, and if he's fit, he starts. But I think for now, you're going to have him in cover because we just don't know the length of his injury. We don't know what his injury necessarily is or how bad it is. But he's definitely going to be there for sure, whether he's fully fit and starting or just covering like we kind of saw with the Nations League. Now we have Johnny Cardoso, who is coming off a very, very solid move from Real Betis. He's been absolutely killing it with Real Betis in La Liga, and there's talks with him already getting to move somewhere else to a bigger club, but I think he definitely should stay in Spain. That seems to be more suited to his game. Very solid defensively. Has a good shot on him if need to be. We've seen that before with Real Betis, and I just think what he brings is something so different and so good. And if Tyler Adams is hurt, I think he starts. Genuinely, I think he starts, but we don't know, as I said, what's going on with Tyler Adams. So I think for now, you're going to put him at cover. Now we have Luca De La Torre. We know he's usually a substitute with USA. He gets the occasional start here and there, but I'll be honest with you, he might be in trouble if I take him, of course. I'm actually going to put him in trouble for now, I think. As I said, I'm going to go through this final, and then I'm just going to make my 26. From cover to starting 11 is going to be my 26, I think. And then in trouble means you're probably not going to go. As of now, I'm going to put De La Torre in trouble just because of how much midfield we have, and we don't know how much game time he's necessarily going to get. And with Johnny Cardoso killing it and Tyler Adams probably going to play, we might not even see him on the field. Now we move on to Weston McKennie. Easily starting 11. No questions asked. Absolute beast. Box-to-box midfielder, goal-scoring midfielder, coming off a very solid season with Juventus personally. Probably their best player this season, if I'm honest with you. Even seeing him at right wing back, and with Sergiño Dest being injured, he could play there. Now, will I play him there personally? Probably not. He's better as that 8. He's even said himself he's better as the 8, and he wants to go forward and cover ground as well. So yeah, definitely starting, whether it's center mid or right back. For me, starting at center mid. Yunus Musa partnering with him. Yunus Musa also starting. Got that engine on him. Very, very decent season at AC Milan, I would think. He's kind of in and out the team. He would start a handful of games and not start, but he was definitely one of their main players. Stayed fit all season as well. No complaints on that. I'm not going to go into too much detail with him. Malik Tillman also had coming off a very good season with PSV. I definitely think he goes, but he's going to be cover for now. I don't think we'll see him start. He might get the occasional start, whether it's on the wing or in that 10 position. But we haven't seen him really kick off for the USA yet, honestly. He's been very solid for club level. We saw it Rangers last year and then PSV this year. But with the USA, we haven't seen that yet, and we need to see that very, very soon because he's a great player, and there's no questions asked that he's a great player, and he offers something different, but we need to see more with him for the national team. If he gets his opportunity, he needs to take it. But he's definitely going to be there. He's going to be a cover player, I think. Now we have Gio Reyna. Gio Reyna, despite that bad move to Nottingham Forest, he's starting. No questions. He is arguably our best player, and you don't not start Gio Reyna, obviously. Despite not getting minutes at Dortmund and Forest this year. Now, there is going to be a question mark whether he's going to be match fit or going to be able to handle a full 90 because he hasn't had that, I don't think, all season. I don't think he's had a full 11 since the USA games. So we don't really know about him. He's definitely going to start. No ifs, ands, or buts. But we just don't know how sharp he's going to be. Now we have Malik Tillman's brother, Tim Tillman. I don't know why he's gotten called up. I think maybe it's because Greg Berhalter knows a lot of players are not going to be available because of the Olympics. Maybe that's why. And he hasn't really had much of an opportunity to see him. But LAFC kind of having an okay season, not up to their standards, but for me, I don't think he's U.S. quality. I don't think he should be called up for anything necessarily right now. He's had an opportunity with the U.S. and he didn't really show anything special. I think he's just calling him up because he wants to get him some experience with the lack of options we might have with the Olympics also this summer. I don't think he should make the squad going into the Copa America, and I don't think he will make the squad. Brenden Aaronson coming off a pretty informed last couple months with Union Berlin. I think you take him. He has a great attitude, but his final decision making is not there. I don't think. We've seen time and time again he either makes the wrong final pass or doesn't take the shot, and he's missing that, and I think he's missing his confidence, but we are slowly seeing that, as I said, these last couple months with Union Berlin. I think you take him. Obviously he's going to play, and I think he might get a start here and there. He's definitely going to cover somebody, whether it's Gio Reyna or coming on in the 80th minute for a Pulisic or something. He's going to be there, and I think you should take him. Balogun, starting 11. He's, despite not having a great season at Monaco this year for his first season there, we didn't just recruit him not to take him and start him. One of the main reasons we even wanted him is because we saw his quality at Reims, but he took the opportunity because he knew he was going to be the guy up front. And with tournaments like this is why you go for him. So Balogun is definitely going to be our starting 9, I think, despite not being the most in form out of all the strikers we have, who we're going to get to in later. You definitely take him, and he's going to start. Ricardo Pepi, just like Balogun, not in the best form. He was mainly a substitute at PSV behind Luke de Jong, who scored goals left and right this year. I'll be honest, I think Pepi might be in trouble. That's a little controversial because we've been saying the last few years before Balogun, not last few years, but the last year or so before Balogun, he should have been our starting 9 at the World Cup. But now he got his move to PSV. He scored some goals, but he never got consistent time. He never saw him start back-to-back getting goals. It's so hard because I'm torn between you take him definitely or in trouble, but I think he's in trouble. I really, really do. Christian Pulisic, do I really need to talk about that? He's our captain, coming off his best personal season at AC Milan, moving away from my Chelsea, which made perfect sense, and understandably so. He's been absolutely killing it. One of the best players for AC Milan, if not the best, and definitely one of the best players in Serie A this year. Josh Sargent. Okay. Josh Sargent coming off a very solid season with Norwich, but he's had injuries, and I think he got an injury just before the playoffs, which made him miss it. But I think if he's fit, you take him. You can't not take him after the season he has just had with Norwich. He can also cover on the wing if you really need him to be. You know he's going to be running his tail off every single game, whether it's 1 minute or 90. He offers something different. He's finally finding his confidence. You know, we saw that missing form with the USA and club level, but he was playing out of position with Norwich, and now he's the number 9. He's the guy up front, scoring goals like crazy in the championship. And if he don't move away from Norwich this year, I think he's going to stay and bring them back up this year. Then you have Tim Weah. I think he's your other starting, whether he's playing wing or right back. Obviously not coming off the best personal season from Juventus. He was supposed to replace Cuadrado. He started for the first few games, and then Weston McKennie actually took his place. But yeah, I think Tim Weah, whether he's playing right wing, right back, or right wing back, he does start. You're going to have Tim Weah as your right wing, probably Pulisic as your left wing with Balogun up top, and Gio Reyna as your cam, and then Yunus Musa and Weston McKennie as your center mids. Right back, Joe Scally. Left back, Anthony Robinson, partner, and Tim Ream, and Chris Richards in center back, and Matt Turner in goal. But you could obviously change that and put Sargent in for Balogun, or you could have Brenden Aaronson on one of the wings for Tim Weah. Same with Tillman, and then get into this next player. We have Haji Wright, coming off a very solid season with Coventry. Absolutely killing it. He's been absolutely incredible this season with Coventry. He is starting to show that form with the USA as well. Greg Berhalter says he's taking him for wing. So we're probably going to be seeing him on the left or right wing, whether that's covering for Pulisic when he gets subbed off or coming on for Tim Weah. I do think he will be a sub. He will probably get a start if Weah doesn't, or even for Balogun, because he could play anywhere in that front 3. Fair play to him. Absolutely killed at Coventry. And now still going into the last few players on this 27-man roster going into the friendlies, we have Christopher Lund. I do think you take him for cover purposes. With Serginho Dest being injured, we need the cover on those fullback positions, whether it's for Joe Scally or Anthony Robinson. He can play right or left back. He mainly plays left back, so I think you definitely take him for the cover purposes. He does have a little bit of an injury, I think, an ankle injury, so we don't know how fit he actually is. But if he's fit and he can get you a few minutes, I definitely think you take him. Now we have Ethan Horvath, who's definitely going to be your backup keeper to Matt Turner. Hasn't really played this year, but we're really lacking in depth with goalkeepers and quality goalkeepers, and Ethan Horvath has stepped up for the USA. He's definitely your backup in my opinion. Now we're getting into the players that I added in here for the keep the phone close tier, except for one who did get called up for the recent friendlies, but we're going to get into that. Starting off with Walker Zimmerman. I'm actually surprised he didn't get called up. I know he hasn't really played much for Nashville, or when he hasn't been in form. But I definitely think you keep the phone close for him with the center backs we have right now. And you know, he's a leader in the dressing room, honestly, in my opinion. And if one of these center backs get injured, I think he's one of the first ones you call up. Now we have Maloney right here, who did not get called up for the friendlies, which is very surprising. After having a very good season at Heineheim, I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I'm surprised he didn't get called up, but as I said, when you have players like Cardosa, Tyler Adams, and Luca De La Torre, he's in question, but I think you take him. He's been quality in the Bundesliga, honestly. He's been one of their best players in the center mid position. He's had a very good informed season at Heineheim. I'm actually surprised he didn't get called up for the friendlies, which makes me think he's not going to get called up, but I think you take him. Whether he plays or not, it doesn't matter. You're going to need the cover anyway. But yeah, that's just surprising to me. Moving on to Busio. Keep the phone close, obviously. We know he's going to the Olympics, and he's coming off a very good season with Venezia in the Serie B, who's likely to get promoted. I think if one of these key center mids gets injured, you call him up. Austin Trusty getting relegated with Sheffield, being in that defense who conceded over 100 goals, not the best look. If there was a tier between keep the phone close and delete the number, you probably put it there, but I think you keep the phone close just in case someone gets injured, honestly. Not the best form season. I mean, no one in that Sheffield team was necessarily great, but as I said, same with Busio and Zimmerman. If someone gets injured, you might want to have him as an option. Now, Brandon Vasquez, he's another one I'm surprised who didn't get called up, but I'm also not surprised considering the form you have with Josh Sargent, Haji Wright. Then you have Balogun as the main man. And Ricardo Pepi, who is, of course, reliable with the USA. I don't think he's going to go. So I think you keep the phone close for him. He's doing very well in Monterrey in Mexico. Sucks he didn't get a move to Europe. I would have liked to see him play in Europe, but it is what it is. Tanner Tessman, same with Busio. He's going to play in the Olympics. And Brandon Vasquez also might play in the Olympics. But Tessman, partnering with Busio at Venezia, scored a banger yesterday as a day of recording. I think you have him as an option in case someone else gets hurt. Cade Cowell, same exact thing. He's going to be in the Olympics, but keep the phone close. Now, Ryan Reynolds. You have the right back covers for left back, but you do not have the cover in right back necessarily. I actually think you take Brian Reynolds for the sole purpose to have cover for Joe Scally. Yes, you do have Tim Weah and Weston McKennie who could play those positions, and we might see Tim Weah play there, but I think you take Brian Reynolds as the main cover, who is an out-and-out right back, and with Serginho Dest hurt, as I've said 100 times in this video already, I think you take him. I really do. Now we're going on to Kevin Paredes. Same with all these other guys. He's going to be playing in the Olympics, but if someone gets hurt, he's an option. He hasn't really shown too much yet with the USA, only having a handful of caps. Very energetic player, and I don't really see the problem in calling him up if need to be. Diego Luna, I don't think he will be an option as far as if someone gets hurt, you have him, but I threw him in there anyway. He's definitely going to be part of the Olympic squad. The Real Salt Lake winger, who is showing his quality this season, and a very good Real Salt Lake team. Hopefully he gets a great tournament at the Olympics. And now we have the two final goalkeepers, okay? One of these goalkeepers got called up for the upcoming friendlies, and that is Sean Johnson. And then you also have Drake Callender down here, who we don't know if he's going to be the backup goalkeeper or not. So we have Drake Callender right here and Sean Johnson. Now, who do you take as that third goalkeeper? In my opinion, I think you take Sean Johnson, and then for me, I think you delete number. But for cover reasons, if someone gets hurt, you have Drake Callender as your third choice. I think Drake Callender, he's definitely more likely of an error. I think Sean Johnson is more reliable, and I think the handful of caps Sean Johnson has had for the USA, he has been decent, especially that one against Uruguay. That's the first one that hits my memory when I think of Sean Johnson for the USA. How many players do we have? 1, 2, 3. So I have 23 players from the starting 11 in cover, so I need 3 more players who's going to be in that cover, or maybe even starting 11, but I think I'm pretty set and sold on my starting 11 right there. So I need 3 more players in that cover position for the 26-man squad you take to the Copa America. So one of these 4 is going to get cut between Pepe, De La Torre, Miles Robinson, and Mark McKenzie. And if you look over, we only have one center back for cover between Chris Richards and Tim Ream. So do you take 2 more center backs or do you take just one? If you're me personally, you're playing 4 at the back and you have 1 more cover, and I think this is tough, you know. Oh my gosh, this is hard. I'm gonna have to come back to that. So I definitely think you take Pepe. I don't think Pepe will go to the Olympics. I think Brandon Vasquez will, and you definitely have to take Pepe in my opinion. These are the 3 I'm torn against, which is Mark McKenzie, Miles Robinson, and De La Torre. I think you take De La Torre for just not really many options in the center mid. You have Maloney who could go, which I don't think he will. As I said, this is more of my opinion. Then you have Miles Robinson, Mark McKenzie. Who do you take of one of those 2? I know a lot of people are probably going to say Mark McKenzie, but Miles Robinson, the difference in these 2, yes, Miles Robinson's not having the best season personally with Cincinnati right now, but he has been more reliable and proven with the USA, and I think that's why you take him. I'm going to keep Mark McKenzie right there because I don't want to put him, actually you kind of have to, put him at the top and keep the phone close. I think you take Miles Robinson over Mark McKenzie just because of the reason of Miles Robinson is more reliable for the US. Despite his form, he has shown that he is good with the US. He's had a few flawed performances recently with US, but I don't know. I could be getting that call way off. You guys need to let me know. Is there any players I missed in here by chance? I know this keep the phone close tier was, I wouldn't say pointless, but I thought it was interesting to add a few of these extra players who deserve to mention. But yeah, I think this is my 26-man squad from cover to start 11. So I got 11 right here. I'm going to double check. 1, 2, 3. I have 26 players right here. Those are my 26 that I think you take to the Copa America. Let me know what you guys would change, who you would take, who you wouldn't. From what I have, I'm curious to know what you guys are thinking and having your own opinion about this. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, guys, subscribe if you haven't already and like the video, and I will see you all in the next one.